Police saying it's too early to play the blame game. Let's get another perspective now. Joining us on Newsnight, Khuli Chana's legal representative, Clifford Alexandra. Very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us.
Jeremy.
First of all, we know that you saw your client a little earlier this afternoon. How is he doing?
Shaken up, but yeah, at least he's out of hospital. Thank heavens for that. But mentally, he's taken quite a knock. You know, people whom he trusted, whom we all trust, actually did this to him. So he's very, very shaken up.
Right, let's look at the sequence in just a moment. But can you tell us what he was doing in the area at that time of the morning?
Sure. He was on his way to go and make rap. We work long hours. He was supposed to have been there around about 1:30 in the morning. The DJ was actually following him. He'd pulled off at the Caltex garage just off the N1 heading north to actually wait for the DJ to catch up. The DJ was running late. They were in contact with each other telephonically. He went in and bought a cup of coffee and made a decision and informed his DJ that he should catch up. Simple as that.
Police say that they tried to stop the vehicle, but he drove away at high speed and that warning shots were fired. I'm assuming that you will dispute that version of events.
We will indeed dispute that version of events. The version of events is actually very, very simple. After purchasing his cup of coffee, he got into his motor vehicle, put on some music, and drove away down the off-ramp to get onto the N1 heading north. There were two vehicles ahead of him. In his direction, he was blinded by lights of what he thought was an oncoming vehicle. This turned out to be an unmarked vehicle. It wasn't designated or marked as a police vehicle. The two vehicles in front of him went past on the right-hand side, as likewise he did. There was no visible policing. There were no cones, as there should have been. Nobody tried to stop him. Nobody tried to flag him down. The first he knew that there was a problem is when he heard gunshots. His exact wording was, he thought it was firecrackers. It sounded like firecrackers. And rounds started striking the vehicle. He immediately took his hands off the steering wheel and got into a sort of a kneel-down position, and his vehicle veered off the embankment. Thank heavens it didn't roll and he wasn't killed in that regard as well. But at this stage, we've been able to determine via our forensic analyst that at least 7 shots struck the vehicle.
So he didn't drive off at high speed as police are alleging tonight.
Jeremy, to refute that as well, the tracking system is going to indicate to us, he says he was doing approximately 40 kilometers an hour. The tracking system will be able to indicate exactly what speed he was driving, as well as the cellular network provider will be able to indicate exactly what speed he was driving. He definitely did not try and race away, and he was not speeding.
So you'll suggest that police at this point are trying to save face and backpedaling?
I've got no doubt about that. Absolutely no doubt about that. One of the other reasons we can say that is that, amongst others, one of his legal representatives from our firm arrived there shortly after the incident, as did his manager. And his manager actually took photographs on our advice with his cellular telephone. He was accosted by one of the police officials in a very, very violent manner, who forcibly deleted photos that were taken by his manager. We were fortunate in that we've been able to regain some of those and save some of those. We have a couple of those, but definitely I believe the police are trying to cover up at this stage.
Is it your contention that at the point where firearms were used, police were shooting to kill?
I believe they were. They were acting outside the bounds of Section 49 of the Criminal Procedure Act. In short, Section 49 says when you can and when you cannot shoot, when deadly force may be used. They exceeded, or we're not too sure that it was 1 or 2 shooters. The police exceeded the bounds as laid down in Section 49.
Is there anything your client believes he could have done differently in order to prevent this from happening?
Indeed, perhaps not have stopped and waited for his DJ. At the scene, absolutely no.
I'm talking about within the sequence of events.
No, not at all. There was no visible policing. He had no idea that there were police there. He'd done nothing wrong. The police searched his car after the time. There was no contraband, nothing illegal found. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Unfortunately, the police official or officials who acted in that manner exceeded their bounds. What is also interesting, if he was a danger, the police never searched him after the time. He was never searched after the time. There were witnesses to that effect as well. If he was such a danger, one would have expected him to have been searched.
Given that this was a case of mistaken identity as far as a parallel kidnapping was being investigated in that same precinct, do you believe that the police might have some excuse in mistaking the two vehicles given the time of night and the fact that they're fairly similar in colour?
Not in the least, Jeremy. And the reason I say so is also, once again, very simple. From what we understand from the information given to us there, the police had actually staked out the area. They were expecting the money to be delivered at the Caltex garage. They'd staked out the area. They see Khuli arrive there in a sky blue BMW, which doesn't fit the description of this grey BMW. They see him go in and buy a cup of coffee.
Sky blue and grey at that time
quite
of
right.
night
They see no money's exchanged. They see a young man go in and buy a cup of coffee. They see him climb into his vehicle. They see him drive away. There's talk of a roadblock. There was absolutely no roadblock. There was no high-speed chase as such. The rounds that were shot apparently from the left-hand side, from what we can understand from the forensic analyst. We'll see the report later once it's drawn up. They all struck the left-hand side. If he had been racing away, one would have expected bullet holes in the back of the motor vehicle. This never happened. They were all from the left-hand side.
Two quick questions. Have you, since this incident, spoken or have been interviewed by the IPID itself?
No, we haven't, nor is my client.
Are you expecting to speak to them?
We can only hope so. We are in the process of preparing a statement, which we are going to hand over to the South African Police. We've also set up a meeting with a representative from the State Prosecution tomorrow morning to try and further this matter and expedite it as quickly as possible.
And what recourse are you now seeking?
Well, it'll be a criminal investigation. We believe that there's an attempted murder charge, as well as the civil litigation, of course, for the pain and suffering he has endured. Of course, more importantly...
Have those charges been laid yet?
They will be laid tomorrow morning by Khuli as such. The police have already opened a criminal case, we are led to believe, at Bedford View, not at Midrand as one would have expected to happen, which in itself is very, very odd.
So just to be absolutely clear, what case will he be opening tomorrow?
An attempted murder charge.
And then obviously civil litigation will follow that.
Quite right,
at some
yes.
point. Thank you very much for joining us. Clifford Alexandra, who represents a hip-hop artist, Khuli Chana, here on Newsnight.